What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. So today I'm going to give you a good overview of things that you need to know with Lucid and potentially where it might be going from here. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get right to it. So currently down 3.4%, and that is largely because of Powell ingraining once again a lot of fear. I do think that it is a little bit more of an overreaction, my own opinion of course, and it did hit a low today so far of $8.28. So there's a couple bearish things that is kind of forming right now, one of which is the technicals. So we were unable to really break past that 50-day moving average for a while. So this is most likely why it is also going down as much as it did today, because it's a little bit more of a consolidation and also an ingrainment of fear by Powell. So it's a combination of both. And when it comes down to it though, you do see a lot more puts being purchased, insinuating people are wanting it to go down, or at least anticipating it to go down. This doesn't necessarily move the stock by any means. So just be aware of that. This is a little bit more of a sentiment. And outside of that though, one thing that does move the stock price is shorts. And as of right now, they are increasing 312,000 shares, which is pretty small in the grand scheme of things. So they're definitely very much thinking that this is an overreaction as well. So currently 138.83 million shares being shorted. The cost to borrow for the most part is dropping, so it's 13.5%. 21.38% is the free float, or a percentage of the free float that is being shorted. And as I've said in the past, I don't see Lucid squeezing unless there is a good catalyst. And the only catalyst that is coming out next is the gravity. And this is where they have to do it right. Meaning they can't come out and unveil it and say it's going to be, for instance, 140,000. That is just going to kill the stock so much more. Has to be less than 120,000. Ideally, this is where the surprise catalyst, and which of course would prompt a squeeze if it is for any reason below 80,000. I don't anticipate it, but if it is, this is where it'd be a good squeeze. So once again, this is what shorts are doing. These are all the transactions so far in the dark pool. So roughly about 5 transactions, not too much overall though. And you can tell these are the transactions on the secondary market. When it comes down to the secondary market, you can even tell based on yesterday, I did an update, and I even noticed that big money is really taking a step back, a notable step back. So I don't know if they're anticipating Powell to do what he does, or potentially some negative economic data, because there's some good consumer stuff that is coming out both on Wednesday and also on Friday. So I'm not necessarily sure. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But when it comes down to, like I said, the technicals, since it is on a little bit more of a sell-off right now, currently at $8.51, it is trading between the S1 and the pivot. So kind of bouncing off of the 820 range around that point. So again, that's a very good sign. But if it does, for instance, break that 820, anticipate it to trade between that 7 and 820. So just be aware of that potentially. And again, I think a lot of people are very much hopeful on Lucid for sometimes not really justifiable reasons. And what I mean by that is, this article did come out by Seeking Alpha saying why I'm doubling down. Came out March the 1st. And a lot of people are circling this and kind of saying that this is a good thing. But if you actually look at, for instance, some of the numbers that they use, they're talking on forward PS ratio. For instance, in 2023 being 3.8. That one, when I read that, it kind of was very confusing, because right now the current future, so the next 12 months, is currently at 12.1. So if they're anticipating it to be 3.8, then that goes to show that either the actual sales, they're anticipating that to go down dramatically, or the stock price to go down dramatically. So it's one of those things, both of which are not good feasible options. And maybe this is where they're getting only $9 for 2023, but a lot of these numbers are very much just wrong in my opinion. But again, I'm not a financial advisor, and these videos are for entertainment purposes only. So the only reason why I'm bringing this up, not necessarily this isn't moving the stock by any means, but I think people just need to educate themselves a little bit better and not fully trust articles 100%. But beside the point of all that fun jazz, as you can see on the technicals, so it is bouncing off of that 50-day moving average and has been really trying to break past it for the last little bit. So in theory though, even beside taking out Powell from the equation, this would have been a good consolidation day anyway. So most likely this would have consolidated and tried again the next time. So potentially this might be a very good thing for Lucid, technical wise at least, going into the next couple of days. And when it comes down to, for instance, stochastic, there is at 20, so very still oversold sold. And once again, like I've been saying, if there is a good piece of news that does come out, then you will get a very good value rally, similar to what happens here. So again, that's something for you to just kind of be aware of. Number of retail investors are just getting out once again today. So maybe they're getting tired of all the BS with, for instance, EVs or just the market, growth stocks. There's a lot of different moving parts and a lot of different factors. And Lucid is a very high risk, high return investment. And sometimes people just can't handle the volatility. So I think in general, maybe that is why people have been getting out ever since it looks like that whole rumor scenario. People just took that opportunity to kind of get out. RSI as well is at 41. So I think generally speaking, technicals are for the most part pretty good, still a little bit, still within range. As long as it stays over that $8.20 range, then in theory it's pretty good. But the sentiment behind the scenes is clearly anticipating that it's going to break below that. So once again, let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. If you do like my Lucid content, want to support the channel, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.